Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Game and we're returning to a War in the East Let's Play, where we're playing as the Germans in war against the Russians, and we've just conquered Moscow, so that's very great. But on the other hand, you can just see on this very zoomed out version of the map the giant amount of Russians that are gathering here for their winter offensive of 1941-1942, so that's a big problem, and that I think is the next thing that we do need to address. Other than this, up here in the north, where you can see it's a truly amazing, awesome amount of Russians, in the literal sense of the word. We also have a bit of a trouble down here, because we have a very thin line down here, and there are some Russians turning up. In particular, the 3rd Guard Cavalry Corps over here. This seems to be an extremely strong unit. You can see it has an attack value of 9 over here, as compared to some of these other units that only have like a 1 or 2, maybe 3. We also have this Cavalry Corps here, the 9th Cavalry Corps, which has crossed the river and has pushed us back here a little bit. So that is something that we do need to address. Most of the rest of the line did hold out fairly nicely. We should take off these partisans here in the back, which I think is going to be alright for some time. Moscow itself we have secured slightly. We've also pulled up a couple of units over here, although the Russians are re-establishing their line, mostly with the relatively light troops, I would say, for now. These do carry a lot of tanks, as you can see, but they don't really have the amount of infantry power that I think they would need to punch through there. Another Guard Cavalry Corps over here, the first one, which is trouble for us, but let's see whether we can deal with that, and of course these bunch of guys up here. In between episodes, I went ahead and did a lot of things. Most importantly, I think I went ahead and adjusted the TOE, the table of equipment of these guys here, to be at maximum 70%. And that means that these guys are not trying to replace anyone in their normal TOE, but they will only try to fill up to about 70%. It varies a little bit for these types of units. I think it's 70% over here, a little bit 75% here. Some of the guys that are a little bit more exposed, I have kept up a little bit more, like this gentleman over here. No, I haven't actually. Okay, fine. But these guys up here maybe. So slightly pulled back a couple of troops here because I think we are holding out fairly well for now. So I think it is alright to send fewer troops here, which means they're going to use less supplies, which means we are going to be able to send these troops elsewhere because we are short on manpower, and I think it would be great to do that. Right, other than that, I did rearrange a giant amount of support brigades. So you can see most of these corps over here do carry a number of support brigades. In particular, the 27th Corps over here, which was our main infantry force to push on Moscow itself. So it's nice that these guys were withdrawing, or were very well supported, but we have reduced that for now. It's still carrying a large amount of support brigades, including howitzer battalions, which is like 210 howitzer guns. We also have, I think, gun battalions, 105mm. So various different things down here in this thing, including this one, the 600mm rail gun here. It's only a single piece of gun, but it's kind of funny to see that being around. Right, most of these guys were pushed up here, sort of in this vicinity, especially to the 13th Corps over here, because we want to keep this little town here of Rzhev. This is a relatively large town, and that is standing in the way of the Russians before they could advance onto Rzhev and potentially threaten our supply lines off towards Russia, which we can see over here. So the green lines here are our routes of supply. And even up here in the north, I think it's pretty important and pretty critical to keep this line open here and just make sure that we have a will of supplying everyone. So due to that reason, I want to keep Rzhev, and that means all of these units here, all of these 3 divisions, do belong to the 13th Corps, and the 13th Corps has been short up very significantly here, with quite a bit of new brigades. You can see all of the ones with a little star here are new brigades. It's a couple of Werfer battalions, so basically Nobelwerfers. These guys are, well, basically rocket artillery. We also should have a couple of artillery pieces in here, howitzers, so that's 150mm, guns, so 105mm, heavy Werfers even, which are even larger rocket artillery pieces, and things like that, including a couple of construction battalions, which are mainly used to build up fortifications, and would be great to build up some fortifications here. And to the same reason we have added pioneer battalions to these guys down here, which I think is going to be great because these guys do need some support here to build up before. You can see we're at 76%, which is not bad, but I want that to be built up really, really quickly, because just being in this river, in this city over here is going to be a huge stumbling block for them, because it will not allow them to draw supplies down there. Right, and I think, you know what, I think we might add one more of these howitzer battalions here to the 23rd Corps if we can. We cannot. Okay, let's send it towards the 8th Corps. That I think is fine as well. That's the one right next to it here. You guys are also carrying quite a bit, including a couple of construction battalions, howitzer battalions, and so on and so forth. And we also added a couple of these mixed flak battalions, because these guys do have a couple of 80mm anti-aircraft guns, and these are of course famously very useful against tanks as well. So the 80mm, the famous 88, is in these battalions, and it took a while to find that actually, but we do have it now, and that should shore up these defenses here a little bit against tank attacks, which I don't think are quite as relevant in Moscow itself, because this is already very heavily built up territory. And even though the Russians do have a lot of tanks over here, I think they will not have a good time attacking into the city itself. Right, we also shored up the defenses of the 2nd Corps over here, mostly howitzers, battalions, guns, again these mixed flag battalions due to the 88s that they are carrying, a couple of construction battalions, but not that much really, and that is what we're hoping to build up there. We've also sent up a couple of construction battalions, I think here into the 2nd Army, yeah, not that many, but just 2, so that they are starting to build up fortifications here a little bit faster. Right, that's basically it in terms of what I did in between episodes. So let's start out here with the cavalry, which we are going to send back towards over here to try and take care of this partisan unit, and then we're going to move you up over there. That's fine. One of the other reasons why I have reduced the nominal strength of these guys here quite a bit is because we are suffering from a lot of attrition. That wouldn't happen if we were only in cities. But of course we will need to man the lines in between that, so yeah, I think that's going to be worthwhile. Let's start down here and have a look at the situation down here. So sometimes it's a little bit more useful to see it like this, sometimes I do like to see it like that, I don't know. Right, so over here in the very south, I think we are fine for now. This is a heavy river. It seems unlikely to me that they will be able to cross over here. They have very little forces. Where these guys go, I don't know yet. And wherever they will go, that will be trouble. And there's no Victory Point province down here though, so I think we will be able to react to this if it does develop further. So we can ignore this here for a second, I think. Up over here, this is starting to look a little bit more threatening. There are 3 divisions. We basically have 2 in this vicinity over here. But for now, we are at least behind the river, and we do have some fortifications. So I think I want to keep them where they are now. And hope that this is going to contain the attack there. Over here is where I'm slightly more concerned. So we've got a Russian division over here, the 179th Rifle Division, and we've got the Cavalry Corps. So these are both very strong units. Now one of the things that we could do is we could attack these guys. They don't really have that strong defensive value, but... And the good thing about that would be we do have very good fortifications here, so I'm a little bit loathsome to give them up so quickly, especially as they are behind the river. Nevertheless, I do think it might make more sense to pull these guys back here and not risk losing too many troops. Basically allow them to come over, but also block these guys in a little bit more. They can't really advance on us, and this is really okay for now, I think. So that should all in all be okay. How about these guys over here? You are fine, you don't really have that much attached support. And I suppose you guys here are building up some stuff, so that's okay. What's your TOE actually? Is it it's the 1942 Infantry Division. What would be your next upgrade? It would be 1943. So that would take a while. Interesting to see that you'd be getting bicycle recon squadrons. But let's not divert into these types of details. Right, so I think now over here we are more or less fine. I think this line here is holding out relatively well. I would like this to be building up the fortifications a little bit faster, but that's basically fine. The next big thing I want to point out is up over here. So we've had these Russians, these 3 divisions attack into this vicinity here last turn. Let's zoom into that a little bit. So they were attacking here, and they did repulse one of our divisions. They actually took one of our fortifications, or one of our fortified zones, which is a little bit disappointing actually. But now the good thing is, I think it moves them into a slightly vulnerable position. If we were to attack this little brigade over here, which doesn't have that many men, only 60 combat squadrons, frontline squadrons basically, the Cadet Rifle Brigade, and the 14th Rifle Brigade over here, which is slightly stronger but not really, I think we might have a decent chance of cutting off 3 divisions over here, and that would certainly be hurtful for the Russians. And we do have a couple of mobile divisions around over here, maybe even too many. But I think that would be a good chance to teach them a little bit of a lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these guys over here. We're going to take all of these guys and we are going to do a deliberate attack over here. With 36,000 men against 11,000 men, we are losing quite a number of them, 200, whereas they're only losing about 300, so that's not a good ratio for the Germans, but I think we should be repulsing them very nicely actually, well kind of. They are down there, which is okay for now. They are retreating, so that's good. Can we move up? We cannot. Okay, so we will probably need to move up with one of the motorized divisions. Unless we could repulse you over here as well. Suppose I could move you up here and try to push this guy back a little bit. That might be useful. Let's wait on that until we've cleared this guy here, if we can in fact do that. So we've got a couple of tanks, a couple of motorized divisions up there. Can't really move them away. Where we could draw these guys back here a little bit, just be on this rail line. And that would shorten our front line a little bit. I think that would be a good idea. So that does free up basically all of these units. We also have an infantry unit up here. I think that's the one that was kicked back, in fact. Yeah, that does look very likely. So you probably want to go down here at some point. You could also come up here and sort of secure the flank there, which wouldn't be the worst. Could you actually get into the fortified zone as well? Yeah, you could. You could come all the way up here. That's pretty nice actually. So you could try to circle around over here. Maybe free up. We could also try to engage this guy and just cut him off, but that would be so many more positions, and I think it would be better to just try to keep a stronger position here. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to try to do. Right, the issue is slightly that we only have motorized divisions over here though, and they're not very good at deliberate attack, so we need to do a hasty attack, I believe. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring down these tanks down here. Of course, going to deselect the fortified zone, and we are going to attack across the river here into these guys. Hopefully that is going to be enough. 20,000 men against 2,000. Yes, that is definitely enough. They are routed, and they're somewhere down there, so that's great to see. So now I guess we could actually move a lot of you guys up here, and that's fairly nice and very good. In fact, so I like to see that. Could also bring you here into this fortified zone again, so I think that's probably what we're going to do soon. But let's first, I guess, bring these tanks over here, so that we have some room to maneuver here. Let's bring the infantry into this little fortified zone. That is okay too. And then we do need to bring someone over here and someone over there, which I suppose is fine. So let's bring the tanks all the way up here, I suppose. Yeah, you can move there, so let's do that. And that is already, excuse me, is already boxing these guys in a little bit. Although I would really like to move up further troops. Can you come up here? No. Can you come up there? Yeah, you could, even though it's slightly awkward. So I suppose if we got rid of you, we might be able to box these guys in a little bit more effectively. On the other hand, you can come down here, so that's not really a big issue. Okay, let's bring you down here all the way. Shore up our defenses there a little bit. And then bring these tanks. Oh, I'm also realizing I should potentially put something on there. I mean, this is clear terrain, so tanks are going to be good here. Whereas this here is sort of not clear terrain. Let's actually pull these guys back, I think that's fine. And then these tanks can come up down here. Yeah, I think that's fine. Right, let's bring you there. That's good. I mean, you guys could come across over here, but I'm not really that worried about that, because we do have some forces here. Thing is, I do need to get here. And maybe it was a bit too mature to send you there. Huh. Yeah, issue is I do need to actually occupy this square here. And I don't have enough troops to do that now, do I? Yeah, that was a mistake. I should not have sent this guy over here. And I cannot undo that really. Well, like, how about you can't go here? How about you? You've got 70 movement points. No. That's a no. That's a pretty hefty no, actually. Right. So that's not a possibility. Then, well, I suppose what we could do is have you guys attack into here. Ouch. Well, that was stupid. Okay. That didn't work at all. Could attack these gentlemen. How many troops did you have here? It's interesting that you are strong enough to take that. Alright, okay. Let's send... it's only 2 movement points with you either. That is unfortunate. If I was to send you over here, you could potentially kick back these guys, and that would free up you from any zone of control issues. But I think we would still need 3 attack points. So the only chance I would have is if I did do a deliberate attack here. And I don't think that's going to be enough. No, absolutely not. Horrible failure there. Is there really no one I can use down here? This feels so close. So you will come over here. Pretty sure about that. I mean, it's not literally the worst outcome. It means you would be supported, but you'd also be slightly boxed in there, really, wouldn't you? Alright, so slight blunder there on my side. Should really not have moved you over here. Too bad really. And you cannot... Yeah, you can attack. I suppose it's not going to be good enough. Barely not. No! Okay, that's a far cry from being effective. Right, okay, so that was really pointless. Yeah, and you still cannot move there because of all of these guys, okay. Well, too bad, I say, but nothing that can be done about that, so yeah, we're just gonna have to live with that. We do have some forces here. You guys are all fine, I suppose. Well, I guess you could move up a little bit further down there, or into here. You could also move up into a different position, at least down here, I suppose. Could also come up over there into this town there, which would be an interesting proposition. Right, that's okay. So, what else have we got? You are very far away from pretty much all of your headquarters and all of that. So, you probably want to move you out of there. Don't really need you to be around Moscow, I think. Would be nice to have some troops over here, including maybe some infantry over there. But is that clear terrain? Yeah, no, it's a town, so that's actually fine. This here is clear terrain, so at least I would want to swap you. which would allow us to dig in a little bit more here into Moscow. It's only level 4, level 2, 2% down to the fortifications though, so not really that much. Okay, let's move you up here, and then the motorized unit can come down here, so that's a lot cleaner. And you're gonna move up here. All of this is costing us unit movement points, but all in all I think we're fine. Let's move the headquarter unit into here, so you're supporting that pretty nicely. And you, my friend, do control these 3 units, so let's move you into this little town here. I think you're very close and nicely matched up with everyone there. Right, we've also got the 47th Corps, which is mostly all of these guys down there. And I'm suddenly realizing that we are threatened here a little bit from being cut off ourselves, because this position here again is not really that strong. So let's move someone else here as well. I think that should be enough, I think. Right. And then again, you guys here can come down here as well. I suppose that should make sure that we are resupplying everyone here. Even though they're going to have a very hard time to resupply due to these units themselves. But again, not much that can be done about that. How is our rail supply looking here? Not that great, so yeah, we're just going to have to live with that, I think. The 2nd Panzer Army, all in all, I suppose you can move a little bit more central here. That should be alright. And then we've got the FBD-1, so the Railway Repair Unit. Oh, have you got movement points left? Why did I not see that before then? I thought I had tried to move you all the way. Must have missed that. Okay, that's fine. Let's repair that over here. I'm happy about that. Good, good. Now you're out of movement points, okay. Right, and you can't really move, so that's okay too. Everyone over here is fine and happy. I like this little position here with these little with these troops in the front. Maybe you don't really need to be here, because I think it's not possible to actually come in from the northeast here. Sorry, from the east or northeast actually. You're fine though, so you can move up a little bit more northwards, I suppose. Maybe all the way to this little village down here. Could also try to box in these this cavalry corps, and that would be a very good target, I suppose. So let's try to get over here and try to box you in. Is there any way we can come around you? Who's got very good movement points? We've got 80 movement points on this gentleman. That's a no. We've got 11 on you. That's way too little. 17 here, 26 over here, so you can come up all the way to the back here, but is there anyone who can come up that way? And I suppose the answer is no. Not here either. Well, what I could try to do is kick back this gentleman here, and then maybe come around this way. That might actually work. And this is only considered a major river here to the east and northeast. I thought that river would be blockading us a little bit more actually there. So someone might want to come over here then. Might be you. Right, or someone over here like you. Okay, let's try this over here first. And let's try to... Oh, you're a little bit awkward, right? Yeah. Well, you're the 5th Corps. Let's try to assign you here towards the 5th Corps as well. It's using 1 admin point, but I like the idea of you being in the same command structure over here. So let's send you here. Then I want to take, with a deliberate attack, only the guys from the 5th Corps, because that means you're going to be much better at attacking here. 31,000 men, that should easily repulse them. Actually getting them to rout, and that's lovely indeed. Because that potentially means we can advance further up here. Well, honestly, not quite, unfortunately. So that is, yeah, again, a little bit unfortunate. Right, and you, on the other hand, could potentially advance up a little bit over here. Are you fortified at all? I always get these buttons wrong. 60% to a new fort level, and over here 8%. So that's not really that great. No one here can really get into your rear. So I suppose we will try to get one unit sort of semi into your rear. I don't want to advance all the way up here. At least I think I don't want to. We've got the 14th Motorized Division. You're part of this general group. How about you? You're a little bit awkward anyway, because you're an infantry division in sort of a tank unit. How about your neighboring divisions? Okay, so the 5th Corps now has pretty much all the units that it can carry. And the 6th Corps? You only have 2 divisions, so why don't we assign you here to the 6th Corps as well? I think that's a little bit cleaner there. Right, 6th Corps. There we go. Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense. Some of these guys still will need to shuffle around a little bit, but all in all I think that makes sense. So yeah, we've got the 6th Corps here and there and up here. Decent enough, I think. And you're sort of slightly weirdly on both of these fronts, but I think that's fine. Good, yeah. And you're digging in very fastly now because you don't have enemy contact, so that's good to see. Right, fantastic. Good. That does leave the question, okay, you are part of the 16th Corps over here. So that's you and you. Let's try to get you to box these guys in a little bit more there. Yeah, bring you just somewhat more coherently together. Yeah, that looks good to me. Right. Then we can bring the headquarter unit here. And we're getting a little bit closer, I suppose. Let's maybe bring you up here. Very close to these units. You're a little bit too far away, I suppose. But that's more or less inevitable. Another motorized unit, which can't really go as far as I would like it to go. Let's bring you up over here. You're a very small unit, but I think it's better to have you here. And while we cannot quite close the gap over here, I think this guy hopefully should be threatened enough by our actions here. Yeah, you're not supplying this guy over there, you're not supplying this guy. Not really that much I can do with you though to really get everyone being supplied. Maybe over here? No. That is unfortunate, but again, you can't always help it. You're controlling these guys, you are controlling these guys, so maybe bring you up over here. I think that looks relatively decent. Right, good. Yeah, everyone over here in Moscow seems to be fine and resupplying, so that's good to see. And then we've got the 40th Corps over here, which I think should be trying to get a lot of units over to here. So we've got these tanks, we've got these 2 units and this tank. Bit of a mixed up thingy really. How about you? You're still very low on fuel, is that it? Well, you do need to load up, my friend, then on some fuel. Right, let's try to get the pink units up here into this little gap so that they can start to fight off the Russians over there. So yeah, I think you will be fine just trying to sort of manually make your way over here. And likewise, this headquarter unit will then come up all the way over here. These tanks will make their way over there in this little town, and that concentrates these forces somewhat, and I think that's great. Right, and this infantry unit, you can't go further, so that's okay. We do have a lot of units over here in general. Question is whether we can blockade them at all, or whether we just gently want to peel back. I think the later is going to be the better answer, so There's no reason for us really to try and enforce this as a strong point of any sort. So let's give ground rather than risk losing units. I think that's the much better idea here. And yeah, just try to come back at least into this town here, my friend. That should be okay. And you, I suppose, should try to come up that way, so that you're now more coherently defending over there. We've got a very strong force over here, which they might attack, but which also is very nicely positioned because it has the potential to flank them really aggressively. So I really like that position there. Right, you are gonna be attacked. Let's pull back here a little bit. Again, don't want to lose any men, so I think that would be the better choice, rather than risk losing any units. You're now a little bit too far away from my taste from the units that you're controlling. Okay, so trying to re-establish a front line here, and I think doing relatively okay. Got a lot of units down here, including the construction unit that I think should move on next turn though. So you should be over here, and I think that's going to be alright there. Command, headquarter command unit. That's not really required, I find. We can just as well disband these guys. They are using up a little bit support. What's your TOE? Yeah, it's actually fairly low. Right. This leaves this area still somewhat dangerously exposed, but I'm all in all a little bit more confident than maybe I used to be last turn. Suppose you could also move you up here. Was there any fortifications over there? No. This had 6% and this had 60%, so it would be nice to keep some unit in there. Oh, but I suppose... Oh well, we might just, well, move you up here. And now have a coherent front, and I like that because it's just a little bit more coherent, and it just makes more sense to me. Send you up all the way over here. So yeah. Yeah, that's much more to my liking. Good. I don't think we need to build any fortified zones down here at all at this moment. None over here either. I mean, we could think about whether we want to build up a defensive line somewhere over here. But for now, I think we're better off keeping these admin points and maybe doing some reorganization of some larger units in the near future. So the big question to me is what we can do with these two divisions here, because they are truly our only mobile reserve. And one thing that I'm just thinking is, how far can we get you up here into the north again? Not as far as I would like to, mostly because we haven't built up this railway line, which is a big shame, of course. On the other hand, they will probably be required down here in this vicinity. So maybe it might make sense to at least bring one of these divisions, and I suppose I'm going to take the one that has slightly lower combat value, all the way down here and into this position. Okay, let's bring it down here. There you go. We're going to get you off the track. And then you'll be able to move onwards next turn, I suppose. Your army group north. Okay, let's return you towards the headquarter. And then I think you might be able to move onwards a little. No, you cannot. Okay, that's unfortunate, but it's going to be alright. And then I suppose you here. How many construction battalions do you have? A lot, actually. A lot number, I would say. So that's okay. So that does mean we can potentially assign you to you here. Can I assign you? Yeah, I could. How about over here though? How about this guy? Have you any construction battalions? Not really. Okay, so let's assign construction battalion to you so that you're building up Moscow. I think that's a good idea. Right. Still up over here. I am hoping that all of these guys here have relatively low supplies. They will be supplied from this rail line and from this rail line that's coming down here. we are maybe capable of striking towards Kalinin and potentially Tashkov, which would really cut off their rail supply there pretty badly actually. How about you? You are what? Oh, you're the entire Panzer group. Could move you up a little bit more towards the north, I suppose. Yeah, so that you're rendering more support there. I think that's fine. Yeah, and then we've got a lot of air bases and all of that, so what I'm probably going to do between episodes, because time is running here, is just send you, just use our aircrafts to deliver a little bit of fuel, especially to some of these units here that might now be very close to being cut off or even extremely low on fuel. So I think, yeah, just sending supplies up that way seems to be a fine idea to me. Hopefully we're going to be able to take these guys out. Hopefully we're not going to be cut off over here. Don't think we will be, but I suppose very much we blew our chance of encircling these guys. For now, they might not be able to go very far when they cross this river under zone of control, moving into zone of control. But then we'll need to repeat our attack down here, and they'll probably be converging on us. So a little bit of a lost chance there, and that is something that we need to consider. And up over here, I think I will just make sure to rearrange that at least a tiny bit over here, just to make sure that we have got a more consistent setup this way. Right, you've only got 3 divisions over here, don't you? I suppose I could give you 4 divisions, including this one here. And this one really doesn't belong here anyway, does it? So let's bring you up over here, because we don't need it here. This is all impassable to the east and northeast, so we don't really need to protect this. So that's fine. And if you do have 4 divisions anyway, what I can do is assign you here towards the 6th Corps. Oh, 2 admin points, of course. Oh, that's unfortunate. Didn't know that. Didn't maybe realize that too late. And now if you've got 4 divisions, then that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So you've got all of the infantry up here in the east. Who are you actually? Oh, it's Hell. Yeah, you're an extremely good infantry commander. Initiative could be a little bit better. Admin could be a little bit better, but morale is okay. So yeah, it's nice to have you around and have you cover this flank. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense to me. And then you guys here are a little bit more consistent as well. You could actually move up and potentially start to threaten these guys. That wouldn't be the worst, but I suppose I could also try to cross the river here and try to establish new possibilities that way. Well, let's keep you where you are for now, just so that you are gathering a little bit more supplies and all of that, and I think that would be a good idea. Right, so that being said, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.